Hey, welcome to Exchange. It looks like we're going to get student loan forgiveness this summer. We don't quite know the numbers just yet, though, but some articles came out over the weekend that I think are very, very interesting. So this article came out Saturday. This is from the Washington Post. So White House officials weigh income limits for student loan forgiveness, which is interesting to see. Basically cap out the actual top income you actually can get. So basically that and below gets loan forgiveness. If you have the income above that, you basically don't, or you probably don't potentially. We don't know the actual details just yet. But what they're saying right now is that for individuals making 125 to 150 annually, they're basically going to be that's that line, that cutoff line potentially. Or if you're married, 250 to 300K, which is pretty high overall. But again, it would suck though if you're single or if you're an individual making 130 and above. It just sucks. I mean, ideally, hopefully it'd be tiered where it's, hey, if you're making like 125 to 150, maybe you don't get the full amount, but you get like maybe a third or a half potentially, just because you are a high income earner. But even then, just because you have high income doesn't mean you have low student loan debt though too. I mean, you could have a very professional degree, a very advanced degree, and you're making like 120, 150 or whatever potentially, but you could have like 200K potentially in student loan debt, especially if you come from a family that's not very affluent. So again, we'll see what's going to happen with this. I mean, either way, no matter what happens, the student loan problem is not going to go away because either way, college is going and prices going up and up and up, not down. So the problem there is just like, how do you fix that affordability crisis at its core? Because otherwise, this is a very short-term band-aid to a long-term problem. So really the question now is a matter of price, or how much is going to be forgive. So it looks like the floor is going to be $10,000 with the ceiling be nowhere near $50,000. President Biden already said, hey, that's not even a question basically. So if I had to guess, I mean, I'd say that $10,000 to $25,000 mark is probably your sweet spot right there. But again, we'll see. We don't know how it's going to be actually structured. I mean, it could be a long-term structure there. Now, the administration has been making student loan basically forgiveness, last year and also into the spring. So they basically forgiven 700,000 borrowers for $17 billion worth of debt. Most of these are like, fraudulent companies or like they basically default universities or trade schools, etc., where it's like, hey, they're in a bad spot. You basically owe student loan debt to a school that just doesn't exist anymore. No one has credit or doesn't even have credibility at all. So overall, there's 41 million student loan borrowers. I mean, even by pausing interest rates and pausing payments, I mean, this is say billions and billions and billions of dollars. It's actually an interesting data point down here from the Washington Post. So 97% of all student loan debt is held by people earning below the threshold of $150,000 per single or $300,000 per couple. So again, these thresholds, it might sound somewhat low given the inflationary environment we have right now with wages and everything else too. But this is majority of student loan debt. I mean, this will affect the vast, vast majority of student loan borrowers out there. So it will be very good for them overall. I mean, really the big question you have now is, hey, is this the right actual answer? Because the other answer is obviously just, hey, pausing the APR or dropping the APR down to 0% or maybe keeping it at 1% or 2% where it's very, very low. Because, I mean, this entire plan for student loan forgiveness of 10K or whatever is $245 billion worth of actual, basically cost to the U.S. government. Whereas pausing student loan debt, keeping it at 0%, I mean, it roughly costs about $20 billion per year. I mean, obviously it happens. It's going to continue on forever, though. It's not a one-time expense, though. But again, even dropping the APR down where it's like, hey, you borrow $1 in a future time period, you pay $1 back, which I think is fair because what happens is most people with student loans, you get an APR basically where the APR interest grows so fast, or the interest basically cost grows so fast, starts recapitalizing on itself, and all of a sudden it just spirals out of control. That's how you go from owing 100K to 500K over the course of 20 years. I mean, it's just very, very, very dangerous. Especially when you take out student loans. I mean, you're just very young though too. You just don't know any better. Just because you're 18, 19, maybe first generation college student, etc. I mean, it's just very, very dangerous for most of our youth out there. Hey, that's student loans, though. I mean, I think whatever happens, it's 1,000% going to happen pre-election timeframe. I think the closer you get, it almost gets worse and worse. So I think if he announces anything, it'll be the summer timeframe, probably before back to school time in August, potentially. Another thing to look at, too, is actually the student loan actual pauses end August 30th. So you have 4 months left or so for that pause to end, which, I mean, 4 months from now, the U.S. economy, we could be in a recession timeframe. Or, I mean, it could be very possible, too. So I think the odds are if we're in a recessionary kind of environment or kind of it's negative growth environment potentially there, it could be another, incentive to pause student loans even further potentially. You probably pass the election to that, December timeframe, if not into 2023 potentially too. So I think another actual student loan pause extension is almost more likely than not. Hey, be sure to let me know your thoughts on the kind of student loan extension, student loan basically forgiveness, and or the cost of college in general. I mean, it's getting pretty crazy out there right now. But yeah, be sure to sub, like, comment down below, and that's the exchange.